Welcome back to Words of Paradise. I'm your host, Leon Idol, and today we're going to talk about, what you know and love, Disney adults. Now, for those of you that don't know or have never heard the term, there is a difference between Disney adults and adults who like Disney. One are an okay, fine group of individuals who are just a bit misguided given that they don't understand the current state of Disney and entertainment as a whole. The others probably secretly have claws in a cloaca because they are cancer. Well, that's what this article at least leads me to believe. Guests infuriated after cast members mistakenly assumed they are a parent. Oh man, now I don't know what this is going to say. I've not read this. Just like always, we're going to go through the news as normal and we will get the information together as a family. So sit down on Papa Leon's lap and let's go through this together because I'm sure we're in for some absolute entitlement from some Disney adults. Let's check it out. Walt Disney Resort cast members go out of their way to ensure you and your family have a magical vacation. Nothing would be possible without them. Walt Disney said it best. You can design and create and build the most wonderful place in the world, but it takes people to make the dream a reality. And you know what? I don't know how many of you guys have ever been to any of the Disney parks. Last summer, I went on vacation to Disney World, and let me tell you, I had been one other time in my entire life. I was about 11 years old, so, it was almost 20 years ago. I had an entirely different experience as an adult. A really great experience. I found the cast members, all the staff, the employees, incredibly helpful. There were a couple of minor issues that I ran into that they were more than happy to fix. They were so great with me and the individuals I went with. Heck, two of the restaurants I went to had probably the single best waiters / waitresses I'd ever had in my entire life. I think both those waiters / waitresses got like a $30 to $50 tip. Like, they were amazing. If there's one thing that the Disney parks are known for, it is how great its cast and employees can be. Which is why I'm led to believe this is probably a case of some entitled Disney adults going out of their way to make some poor service industry worker, because at the end of the day, that is what Disney park employees are. They work in the service industry. Probably make them feel like crap over something that was not their fault whatsoever, an honest mistake that could have happened to anyone. Let's keep reading. But Disney cast members are human, just like you and me, and sometimes make mistakes. Though Disney parks are making strides towards training their employees on more inclusive language, that's a red flag in the article right there. Some things slip through the cracks. Reddit user Joe Benigo shared they were shocked by repeatedly being called a parent while visiting Walt Disney World with their 18-month-old niece. You go to Disney World with a baby, a 1.5-year-old, and you're shocked you're being called a parent? Really? What level of entitlement are we about to read? We are about to go into the dark depths of Tartarus with Disney adults, people. At least that's my assumption based off how this article has gone so far. So if you've never experienced what a Disney adult is, or think the internet's just making jokes and blowing things out of proportion because you spend too much time on Twitter, let us find out. They called it assumed parenthood and expressed concern that it could alienate other guests. Dude, you have got to be kidding me. I don't care if you're just walking around at your local mall or Wally World. If I see someone with a baby, I'm just going to assume that's their parent. Now, maybe that's not going to help the kidnapping rate. I see someone walking through Wally World picking up pixie sticks and Cheetos with a baby. For all I know, they could have just kidnapped that little mouth breather, and they're just trying to keep them quiet so they can, finish the job and exploit them for whatever needs they're trying to exploit them for until we end up with a fifth Taken movie. But I would say in 99% of cases, that's not what's happening. It's just the kid's parent. If you're going to bother being upset by someone just assuming that you're walking around with a baby and that's your baby, I'm sorry, homeboy, that's a pretty relatively normal assumption to have. Alienating other guests. You're not worried about alienating other guests. You're throwing a fit on the internet, hoping this will go viral, so maybe the House of Mousewips will send you, I don't know, like a $220 gift card for the Space 220 Lounge. That's what it is. You want that payoff from Papa Disney so that this doesn't hit the news and make them look bad. That is just disgusting. This is very much a first world problem, but I've noticed at least you acknowledge it. But I've noticed a lot of assumed parenthood from CMs. Cast members, okay. They wrote, I know nothing malicious is meant by it, but the number of people who just assume my niece was my daughter is pretty staggering. You're at Disney World with a baby. most people, first of all, know that if you're going to take a kid to Disney World, wait till they're old enough to remember it. You know, you're just going to have them, crying. They're a year and a half old, they're going to be crying, ruining the experience for other people. They're not going to remember it. They're not tall enough to ride any of the rides on account of they fit into a backpack. Like, yeah, they're going to assume that's your kid and that maybe this is the only way you could come. Who's taking their 18-month-old niece to freaking Disney World? They're not going to remember meeting Minnie Mouse at 18 months. My niece isn't even 18 months old, so no big deal for her, but we do have friends who foster children, and we know a boy being raised by his aunt and uncle because his parents passed. Yeah, and even if they're not biological parents, they're still family figures. Or was Aunt May not the mother figure that Peter Parker so desperately needed? Now you're anti-Spider-Man, you bigot. The guest continued, "It's a small change, but by switching from your parent to your grown-up would be more inclusive." "Hi, Timmy. Is this your grown-ups you're traveling with here today?" "Why, yes, it is." "That's so good to hear. And is this your kid?" Okay, if you tell the parent your kid after you talk to the kid about their grown-ups, it still sounds like they own the kid. I mean, you're not really solving the issues by eliminating the word parent. You want to know why you're not solving the issue? Because there's not a freaking issue. It's just a word. Like, you're telling me we went from, talking about pronouns and names at dead naming and trans women or women, which are discussions that I think are fine to be had. You know what? If that's the hill individuals want to die on, if that's a dialogue that needs to be had for our society to progress, people are going to have different opinions on that, and that is what it is. That is a language, maybe not barrier, but at least a language discussion that may be fruitful to have. But changing parent to grown-up because it might be offensive to individuals that don't have children. How far have we fallen? This is why China is beating us. In fact, there is a Disneyland China. I wonder if they experience the same level of absolute futile first word bogus. If I cared to do any research, I would ask my best friend's wife. His wife is Chinese. Maybe she could ask her family if this is something they see. And I'm sure they would say something along the lines of, yeah, I don't know or care. A lot of our people are starving under a communist regime right now, so bigger fish to fry. Like that's probably what she'll say. She'll say it with an accent, but that's probably what she'll say. A similar situation went viral last year when a TikToker was insulted that, oh man, well the moment you say a TikToker was insulted, I already am not taking this seriously. And it went viral last year. Well, who cares? Going viral means nothing now. In 2006, going viral meant something. It doesn't mean anything now. But TikToker was insulted that a Disney cast member called her mom. In that incident, the Disney's Animal Kingdom cast member was affectionately calling her mom to get her attention and handed her a food order. So the TikToker, contextually speaking, what it sounds like is the TikToker was off too busy being a social media influencer while the food was here, and the kid was probably trying to get Girlie's attention and not doing so, and the waitress went, "Oh, hey mom, here's your food order," trying to be nice and inclusive and lighthearted. And I'm sure this woman went full TikTok Karen. Maybe she didn't. Maybe I'm miscategorizing, but it's a TikTok influencer, so does anyone really care if I'm miscategorizing? But the guest said she was so caught off guard. "Oh, yeah, no. I make thousands of dollars. I get to bring this individual that isn't my child to Disney World and have a great time and lord it all over the rest of the world that we're in such a financially fantastic position that we can dine out at Disney World. But I was caught off guard by the sociopath that called me mom at the Tusker House." For those of you who don't know, Tusker House is a restaurant in the Animal Kingdom. Very good. Vodka orange juice for breakfast. I mean, it's not really a screwdriver because they add some other stuff to call it jungle juice. Point is, pretty good. Have you ever been mistaken for a parent at Walt Disney World Resort? Look, guys, this has been a pretty fun video to start the day on account of it already has my blood boiling, and we still have at least 2 more segments to cover and maybe a short. Who knows? Who's to say? So it's nice when you have yourself a little protein shake in the morning. Only for me, a protein shake is the tears of Disney adults because they are just pure cancer. If you have a Disney adult in your life, maybe just do us and the world, themselves even, a favor. Sit them down. tie them to a chair and force them to watch about 9 hours of The Sopranos. But that's all I've got for this one. Maybe you've got other opinions on Disney adults, or whether or not this wasn't as entitled as it seems to be, at least on the surface. Maybe you think that this is an absolute travesty and the news is running out of things to cover. Who's to say? But please do like and subscribe, and we will have more segments coming up later, as well as my previous videos about Gwen Stefani being called out for racism against the Japanese culture, except was she really? Or maybe the news about NBC finally turning on Amber Heard in favor of hiring Johnny Depp's lawyer. Both of these are things that happened and that you probably want some more information on, or any other news in the nerdosphere. Who's to say? Check out my video for the best nerdy news, and we will see you next time on Words of Paradise.